And we begin tonight with the unescapable head-on collision of politics and sports. Many NFL players in every game today responding to President Trump's attack on those who kneel in protest during the national anthem.
Hold it now.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a off the field right now?
This comment from President Trump created a firestorm reaction on social media. He criticized NFL athletes for taking a knee during the national anthem.
When he said sons of bitches, he called players.
See, here's the thing about Donald Trump. He never played the game. And yet he talks about football as if he's some kind of an expert just because he ran the USFL into the ground, as if that qualifies him as an expert. And when he stood on that stage, he violated something that he doesn't even understand. And that's something that in the NFL locker room they call the brotherhood, which means that tons of NFL players may not agree with Colin Kaepernick's reason for taking the knee, fighting racial inequities in the criminal justice system, raising a voice against police violence. Maybe they don't stand with him on those questions, but they do stand in solidarity with each other. And so to hear the President of the United States call for people to get fired, threatening their livelihoods, and then call...
That's the picture I like.
Yes.
I mean, I hate talking ethnically, but I'm going to do it. The white player who puts his hand here of his chest, his left hand, so he can put his other hand on his fellow player.
This may be one of the most vile and disgusting things that President Trump has ever said, in a very long and impressive list of vile and disgusting things. To call people exercising their First Amendment rights to protest injustice sons of bitches, when you don't have that kind of language. He didn't have that kind of language for Al-Qaeda when they were cutting Americans' heads off. He didn't have that kind of language for people who were white supremacist, anti-Semites walking through Charlottesville. In fact, he called them very fine people. So an anti-Semite is a very fine person, and somebody who's protesting injustice and violence against vulnerable people is somehow an SOB. That is a terrible language. It is a disgusting language, but it's reflective of a deep white supremacist impulse in Donald Trump's mind, spirit, body, and politics.
So Donald Trump's political career can neatly be summed up by this weekend's torrent of inane, offensive, and at times dangerous tweets that were aimed at the NFL, the NBA, and a nuclear North Korea. Now, stop me if you've seen Trump play out this crude political vaudevillian act before. Trump the vulgarian throws rhetorical red meat at his crowd. His base explodes in delight. His foes explode in fury. And both sides feed directly to the president's crude plan to launch a mini culture war.
The NFL is sending a message to President Trump. From Detroit to Buffalo and all the way to London, as the anthem plays, the chorus of opposition from the field is growing. Players and coaches kneeling together in solidarity, arms linked, fists raised. The national anthem at Ford Field ending with this moment. The Patriots' Tom Brady shoulder to shoulder with his teammates. In Chicago, all but one of the Steelers declined to take the field. The lone player who stood, Alejandro Villanueva, a U.S. Army veteran.
I'm disappointed, Skip and Joy, because this is the tipping point. Of the 7,537 things that President Trump has said in the last 50 years, him calling an NFL player SOB is what brought the NFL, the owners and his players together. And while some might be moved by the conscience of these NFL owners, it wasn't their conscience that moved them. It was the cash. Because see, Skip, what we know about people with money, they don't like being told what to do. They don't like being bullied. You see, President Trump has bullied a lot of people. The very first thing that he uttered as he strolled down that escalator 2.5 years ago is that Mexico is sending us their worst. Murderers, rapists, and drug dealers. That didn't shock the conscience of the NFL's owners. Him offending Gold Star families. Nope. Him calling Rosie O'Donnell a pig. Him on the Access Hollywood talking about grabbing hoo-ha. That did not shock the very conscience of 7 NFL owners. Skipping, allow me a second to name those guys. One, Daniel Snyder, the guys on your monitor. Jerry Jones, Mr. Bob Kraft, McNair, Houston Texans, Woody Johnson, Shad Khan. They gave $1 million for the inauguration of President Trump?
Well, I think that the players are trying to resist a would-be fascist dictator. I mean, you look at Trump's responses and you look at the way he talks about these two different issues, it is very clear he expects a slavish devotion to the state above all else, which is a hallmark of fascism. And I really think that we as a country need to examine what his proxies are saying in interviews like this about, this is American pride. You know, that's something that you would expect to hear out of Nazi Germany. American pride isn't about standing and not thinking. It's about asking yourself, is the country holding up its end of the social contract? And right now, for many, many black Americans, the country is not holding up its end of the social contract, and something needs to be done.
So bless his heart for doing that. Both Kaepernick and Villanova, you know, I knew I should have tried it a second time. Anyway, and obviously he has unquestioned patriotism, and I think both do. One last thing, and then people said, oh yeah, but did you know that the Steelers were booed when they finally came out? It's true, let's watch. Yeah, that is breaking news indeed. When the opposing team comes out of the locker room, turns out they get booed.
They announced that the Steelers previously weren't going to come on the field for the national anthem. When they came on the field, the whole bar booed. A whole single bar booed. I actually got up and left. I was just so fed up.
Head coach Mike Tomlin, who stood on the sideline without his team, said the team made the decision during a meeting on Saturday, the day before the game. Some fans believe the Steelers will suffer because of the action.
This is a $450 leather jacket. Watch me burn it. All my hats, all my sweaters. You know something? We have morals in this country.
My father was a Marine, my grandfather was in the Army, my uncle was in the Army. Our
right.
son is in the Army currently.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna sing the national anthem and stand united as a country.
I'm done with all of you. There you go. Goodbye, Pittsburgh Steelers. Burn in hell.
We just want to watch our football and drink a beer and be left alone. That's all. It's all we ask. Is it so much? I've been saying this about sports for years. I was saying this when the NFL was trotting out Beyonce to do a Black Lives Matter routine during halftime. Right? Or Katy Perry, who's a very political person, right? I've been saying this for a long time. Let me watch my sports and leave me alone. And they won't do it. And now Trump has just taken it to the next level. He's just taken it to the logical next step. And now everybody's mad. Okay, and now we have nothing to talk about. The ratings for the NFL are going to tank because the NFL is going to defend its players. People are going to get mad. They don't want to watch the players kneel for the anthem. They think it's unpatriotic because it is. Now, there are people who say it's not unpatriotic for two reasons. One is when you kneel for the anthem, then you're really kneeling because you respect the anthem, right? It's because you respect the anthem so much and we're not living up to it. Okay, this I think is a poor argument. This runs in the same category as people who say that burning the flag is showing the highest form of respect to the flag. Because we're burning the flag to show the flag doesn't live up to what we think it should live up to. Okay, that's not really what kneeling for the anthem shows. Okay, the other thing is a little more understandable. That is, it's not unpatriotic to kneel because we're not kneeling because we don't like the anthem or the flag. We're kneeling because we want to show Trump that he can't tell people not to kneel. Okay, again, stupid but not unpatriotic. But what a lot of people in the middle of the country see is people kneeling during the anthem. Here is what people see, and you're going to see what you want to see, right? Here's what you're going to see. LaShawn McCoy, right, who is a running back for the Buffalo Bills. This is what he was doing during the national anthem. Not even kneeling, stretching. Okay, that's a garbage thing to do. I don't care what reason you're doing that for. Stretching during the national anthem is a garbage thing to do. It's not even kneeling, right? Kneeling is bad enough, but stretching is really just you being a garbage person. So President Trump thanks LaShawn McCoy for his campaign donation 2020. You can hear them booing the players, right? This is what Trump has done, and this is what the left fell right into. Trump said, if you kneel, you're unpatriotic, and you should be fired. And a bunch of people said on the left, okay, fine, then we'll all kneel. So what are you doing? You're alienating your own audience. Okay, well, when it comes to political, cultural entertainment, we have a political entertainment wing, a political entertainment complex that has an interest in culture wars, stupid culture wars that don't benefit anyone except the politicians and the cultural figures. That's it. They don't benefit Americans. They don't help the country. They don't tie us closer together. They divide us. Right now we're supposed to choose sports. Like if you love America, you're supposed to choose NASCAR. And if you hate Trump, you're supposed to choose the NFL and the NBA. This is the game that we're going to play now. The only people who benefit from this are cultural figures who get to feel very special about themselves and feel like they are culturally and politically important, and political figures like President Trump who get to make hay off of this. Now, the left is okay with this because the left dominates the culture, right? This is a point Ross Douthat has made over at the New York Times. He says the left, we've never had a greater dichotomy between politics and culture. The right is dominating politics and the left is dominating the culture, and that's because they act off of each other. Politics is people reacting to culture, and culture is people reacting to politics. But they also are clutched in this love embrace, right? Where Trump loves this. It's great for him politically. And the left loves this culturally because it's great for them culturally. They get to complain about America and talk about how terrible it is and talk about Trump and win some adherents and fans and double down with their own base. Everyone wins with their base. The middle of the country, everybody who just wants a better country where we can live together and respect each other's opinions, we all hate each other and we think that we're jerks now. Like it's made everything significantly worse, this political entertainment complex. As I tweeted yesterday, politics and entertainment copulated, and now they both have syphilitic brain disease.